Good afternoon, fret friends. I make no apologies for the light. It is autumn time in England. We're coming to the back end of November, in fact we're right in the middle of November. And I had a guy, new client, just drop in and drop me three guitars, all Stratocasters. And here is one of them, and this is probably the pick of the bunch. And it's beautiful, and look at it. Look at that, what a beauty. And it's a made in Japan one, and it's fantastic. And it's showing made in Japan on the back of the neck heel there, as it does. That's where they put it, in Japan. And beautiful guitar. This looks just like my Mexican one did before I upgraded my Mexican one. And this is coming in, just wants them all. While he was here, I appraised all three guitars he bought in. 3 Strats, 2 need just regular setups. In fact, this one needs an intensive setup, I've said, because it's only got one high fret that I can see. I'm only going to charge him for a regular setup, so that saved him £25 on this one. He's got 2 come in, need regular setups, and 1 needs a fret level, so he's done pretty well out of that. And this is the first of the 3. I'm going to do, this is going to be a 2-in-1 video, I think, rather than doing a separate video for each. So we've got the Japanese standard Strat, absolutely beautiful. Is it based on a 62? I wouldn't hecking know, would I? He did tell me. It only half goes in sometimes. What a guitar is not really important to me, it's how it leaves this building is important to me, and I think that's a good thing. Anyway, needs a complete setup. It's going to get one. I imagine it doesn't need any electrical work. If it does, a bit of switch cleaner should suffice. So we're going to keep this at a player setup price, the cheapest one I do. You'll be pleased with that, and I'm just going to now go and get the second of the 3. And did he say this one was a Mexican? I'm not sure what he said. He says, but he loves the weight of the body. And I don't particularly know what it is. It does have a made in Japan bridge, because it says on the block at the back there. And this is covered in stickers. And it's got a brand new Fender big headstock neck. That would have cost a pretty penny, I guarantee it. Made in Mexico. Blah, 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 blah. You may see that the neck is slightly misaligned over to this side. It's closer to this string's closer to the edge than this one. I will try and get that reset, but again, this one, as far as I know, is just having a regular setup. I will, like I say, reset the neck, check the electrics, and we'll see where we are. Again, I've checked the frets on this, the frets are absolutely fine. So again, on this one, just a regular player setup. A player setup for me is everything done. Tuners checked, bridge realigned, the bridge radius set, intonation set, restrung, the neck action set, electrics checked, blah 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 blah. You only go for an intensive setup if you need fret work or if you need extra electrical work, then it goes up in price, and then the next step up from that is a complete fret level. So these are both having just a regular setup. And I don't see there being any major problems. I don't know why it's got blue tack on the top of the truss rod. Not there, but no, I didn't ask about that. Might text him, say what's that about, that trickery. Also, what I've promised to do on this one, another Freeman's, is I'm going to drill the holes for his string trees. I actually have some string trees, but he has some at home. He says he left them there, so I said, well, what I'll do is I will drill you the holes in the correct place, and he can fit that himself. So 2 regular setups, 1 a Japanese Strat, absolutely beautiful in the lovely sunburst. Got new saddles on there, and this one, I don't know where this is from. It is a Japanese bridge. I don't know where the body's from. The neck is a Mexican brand spanking new. It looks bleached, doesn't it? Really, really light. I think the neck, I don't know what the neck costs him on this, but a brand new neck anyway. So let's do them both justice. I will come back intermittently and show progress on the guitars. I'll come back to, we'll check the electrics, make sure that's all okay. Some new Elixir strings, which the guy, the owner, I'll call him Adam because that is his name, that Adam has bought over. Blah, 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 blah. These gubbins, 1046s, can you see them? Of course you can. Now, they were 1046s. I'm not a big fan of Elixir strings myself, but that's just me. So, I'm going to crack on. Hopefully, I'll get one of these done tonight. I'm going to work on the Japanese one first. I imagine if there are any problems, I shall come back and let you know what is up. Otherwise, I think I'm just going to go straight through, get them set up. There is 1 high fret on this one, so the strings are going to have to come off on the Japanese. Otherwise I could have probably just done it without doing it. Well, I could have left the strings on, done the setup, but anyway, whatever. Could do regular setups on the pair of them. Like I say, any problems I will drop back and let you know, and I'll show you how we remedy those things. Okay, so this is the last video I'm filming tonight because we really are losing the light. I have straightened the neck on this Japanese Fender Strat. Blah 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 blah. There you go. Don't know what you can see from there. Take my word for it, it's straight. And I've been across the frets with a fret rocker, and there are 1, 2, 3 frets needing the very, very slightest of attention. There is a rock there. It is not major. You're not going to hear it, I don't think. Maybe you can hear that. A bit there, and this one here. It's not going to take me 10 minutes to get these 3 done, so I'm throwing that little bit of work in for nothing. By rights, normally I'd charge an intensive setup on this then, because it needs fret work, but I'm not going to this time because the guy's bought me 3 guitars. So what this one needs is, the nut is cut so low. Fantastic job there, whoever cut that nut, but anyway. It just needs a full setup. These 3 frets just filing down. I'll re-crown the edges as well. I'm going to polish the whole lot. Once they're polished, I'll get some new strings back on, and we'll set the radius on the saddles. We'll get the intonation set, and we'll get it all tuned in. And that one will be, well, I say more or less done. Of course, I will check the electronics as well. I'll get the neck set correctly. We'll test all the nuts and bolts on the tuners or anywhere else. Like I say, the electrics will be checked as well. We'll have it plugged in, make sure there's no scratching. If there's any scratching on the parts, we'll get some switch cleaner in there. But that is it. Very straightforward job on this one. Like I say, I'm not going to film anything else tonight because it's getting dark and I don't like filming in this light. It's why I work short days this time of year. So I'm just going to crack on, get this one done. There won't really be any updates. The next update on this guitar will likely be when I have it completed, and I'll show you that in the morning, because then I'll move on to the next one in this series. I'm going to do both guitars on this one video. But that is it for now for me. I've got people coming over for dinner. I've got a bottle or 2 of beer that I may or may not drink, and I'm going to have a nice relaxing evening with some good food, some good friends, and I will be back first thing in the morning. Have a good weekend, guys. See you very soon. Welcome back, guys. I did not come back the following morning as I said I would in the last part of the video. I actually had someone come in I'd completely forgotten about. I had a guy come in, bring a guitar in for a setup, which I did while I was here. I don't offer a while you wait service, but on my last 2 Saturdays I have done for whatever reason, because one guy came up from London a couple of weeks ago. Couldn't really send him away while I drove all that way, so I let him sit here while I worked for 2.5 hours on his guitar, which was great fun. And I had another guy come in, early from Newark, 30 odd mile away, and I forgot all about him. And he texted me, he was outside, he said, I'm outside your door, and I thought, who is? And then I remembered, I'd got him booked in for the 17th, crikey. So I was not able to do any more work on the Strats on Saturday, because, well, I was able to, but I didn't. I just, I don't normally work Saturdays anyway. So here I am today, and it's just about lunchtime. And I'm just going to give a little update, just on the Japanese one, because the 3 frets I needed to give attention to, I did level them, which went really, really well. Leveled them, re-crowned them, and I've since then polished all of the frets. And I think you'll agree that those frets all look really, really good and they look highly polished. That is because they are. So all I need to do on this now is I'm going to give it a wipe over. I'm going to get some strings on it. I'm going to clean up the nut area. You see on the nut, it could be pencil or graphite in there or what, I don't know. I'm just going to clean out the slots using my welder's cleaning tool. Really just an array of files from uber thin to thick, and I will find one to fit each exact string. We'll just clean them slots out a bit. I'm going to bag some strings on, and then we're going to alter the saddles, set the intonation, set the radius on the saddles, and blah blah blah. I didn't mention before either, these are little roller saddles. Beautiful little things. Nice black satin finish with little rollers on there. They look great. I bet they weren't cheap. I wonder who made that? Who made them? Oh, well, that's the guy. I'll ask Adam when he comes back later to pick this up. Anyway, I'm going to just crack on with the setup, get some strings on, and just basically give it a basic setup. Maybe I don't have time today, but maybe one day I will film a basic setup from beginning to end, just to show how it's done. I've been doing quite a few how-to videos lately, so it wouldn't hurt me doing another one, would it? And it's great for those just starting out to learn these things. Anyway, going to crack on with this, Any problems, I'll come back, let you know about them. I think this is going to be pretty much straightforward. I may or may not come back with an update during the work, but if not, I will certainly come back and show the guitar when it is completed. Can't believe I forgot about this. I completely missed it out. The reason I also didn't work on this guitar on Saturday was I noticed one fret here, this one, has got a chunk, a big divot in it from a string, and I don't know if you can see it there. And let me try and point out where it is. It's on the G string, E, A, D, G, third string, and there is a ding right where my nail is. There is a ding there, and now to get rid of that groove, it looks like it's been hit and a string's indented into the fret. To get rid of that, I have to file that much off the fret. To lose it, I'd have to file all the other frets down as well. So it's going to be easier for me to replace this one fret. So that is exactly what I'm going to do. That's why I didn't work Saturday. So I'm going to get set up. I'm going to remove this fret. I'm going to show you how I remove it, and I'm going to replace it. So it's going to make the job quite a bit more long-winded. It means I'm not going to get these two guitars done today because of that extra work. I'm going to text Adam, tell him not to bother coming to fetch his guitars today. May as well come tomorrow. And or he can collect them all on Wednesday. So I'm going to let him know that. I'm going to get set up to remove this fret. There are certain ways and certain things I have to do to get this fret removed properly, because you can't just rip it out because it's going to cause damage to the lacquer, and we've got to be really, really careful. So stay tuned. I'm going to explain how I'm going to remove this fret, and it is not a simple job, and this will give you an insight into how much work it is for me, for instance, to refret a lacquered fingerboard like this, because we have to remove this fret really, really carefully. Otherwise we're going to crack and splinter the lacquer and the maple when we pull it out. Now, I'm assuming that this being an older model, it is not based on a vintage, so the frets have gone in from the top, but normally they can go in sideways, and if we go in sideways we're going to cause damage I can't really repair. So I'm going to pray and hope that this went in from the top down. And what we're going to do to remove this is, I've got a soldering iron heating up at the moment, and it's not just a regular soldering iron. It's a soldering iron with an adapted bit on the end. And what I did with the adapted bit is I put a groove in it, which means it works well on files. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to burn the lacquer. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to heat up this fret to soften any glue that's in there. And I'm assuming this went in from the top. Even if it didn't go from the top, if I take my time, we'll be able to remove this quite cleanly. And I can just replace it by dropping another one in. When I've dropped another one in, I'll have to shape the bevel at the edges by hand using a hand file. Now when I get my new fret in, it's going to be higher than the rest, which is good. It makes things easier. It's much better than me filing this fret down, because if I take that ding out, I've got to lower every other fret on the fingerboard, every single one by the same amount, and that's going to cause a lot of work, take a lot of time. So this is the easiest way, just to replace one fret. I may also have to remove that knot. I'm hoping not to, because we don't need a fret level. Anyway, I've heard nothing hissing, so that says to me there's no glue in there, which makes me think that this has gone in from the side, and if it's gone in from the side it's going to splinter and crack when I remove it. I don't really want that, so, and that has just come out straight from the top. It came out so easily. That's fantastic. Praise the Lord for that. Now what I'm going to do is I've got what you call a fret or a chip stopper. I'm going to place that in there, and look at that. And praise the Lord, we have no damage whatsoever. That is fantastic. So hopefully you can see, and this was the tiniest little indentation on the fret, and it's right here where the G string is, and I really hope you can see that. Don't forget, bear in mind I've already filed this down to try and remove it, but once I'd filed it, I had to go too low to get rid of it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to measure the fret wire. I can turn the soldering iron off. I only ever use this soldering iron for heating frets to remove them. It's an old Maplin's thing, and it's really not a good soldering iron. It always got too hot for the work I needed to do with it, so it is perfect for heating up frets to remove them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to measure this fret. This came out beautiful and clean. So these went in from the top. That's fantastic. It makes the job so much easier. Now I need to determine if I have the correct fret wire to replace that one with. And I think I definitely do have some 2.3mm fret wire, because I did a vintage Fender refret earlier this year. Let's get this on mill. Okay, and I'm hoping this is going to say 2.3, and if it doesn't say 2.3, tough, I'm going to put a 2.31 in. And it says 2.01. Wow, it's a 2mm fret. Now, I actually know, but I have some 2mm fret wire. But let me show you where we are. 2.02mm. It's a 2mm fret. And I have some in stock. And how good is that? So I'm going to get some fret wire. Just measure again. 1.97. 2mm fret wire with a, I'll go with 0.53. That's a 0.56 curve. So it'll be 0.55. 0.55 curve on that, which is the width of the tang. It's not going to make any difference what tang width I put in there anyway. So, just going to check that I've got some 2mm fret wire. I do know that I have, because I set it aside for an acoustic guitar. And there we go. And look at this. 2mm by 1.1, which is not even too high. So I'm going to just radius a piece of this. Exactly the same. And there you go. 2.02, well I said 2.04 is 2mm. Brilliant stuff. So, nice piece of fret wire there. I will get that radiused, we'll get that in, we'll have it replaced. I did think it was going to take an hour or two. It's not going to take that long, it's going to take me 15-20 minutes. We'll do a bit of filing work on there and we should be okay. So I've run the fret wire through the fret bender, very simple contraption. You put your fret wire through, you turn that and it bends it when you've set it right. Basically this kind of scenario. You'll see, I should watch it on its side because I'm not changing camera angles or anything, but there you go, that's how that works. And I've slightly over radiused it. And I'm going to tape up the fingerboard. In fact, I'm going to show you how I'm going to put the fret in anyway, so you're going to see. So I will just get it all taped up ready, get some glue out, we'll get that in and I'll show you how we do that part of the process. So I'm now preparing the slot for the new fret, and you see I've taped up each side of where the new fret will go, just a hair wider than the actual width of the fret. The reason I've done that is I'm going to be gluing this in. And I'm going to get an overspill, and the overspill is going to go on the tape and not on the fingerboard. And then we're not going to have any mess to clean up, are we? So I'm just going to take, with some proper gubbins, fret slotting saw, which you normally do this when you've got a bound neck, but it'll work, it works right inside the fret slot, and that is it. We've cleaned that right out. That's beautiful. So we're now ready to insert the new fret. I'm not going to do it just yet. I'm going to get support underneath. I'm going to get some glue. I'm going to use Titebond Original. This is not to glue it in, this is just to fill the gap between the bottom of the fret and the fret slot itself. So I can just take something like a screwdriver, small screwdriver, and I'm just going to drop in some glue. This, like I say, it doesn't glue it in. It just creates, it just fills in any gaps that are there. I also have the side of the neck taped up, so if any seeps out over the side, it's not going to go on the guitar itself. And all I'm going to do is, that's it, more than enough in there. Beautiful. I'm going to wipe away the excess in a second. There's enough glue in there just to fill any gaps we may have. I'm sure I have some tissue knocking about somewhere. I do, here we are. enough in that slot for the new fret. And there you go, just with the fretting hammer, just with the plastic side for now. Now we're going to turn over to the brass side and we're just going to tap in. I'm going to check the radius of that. We're going to go with 7 1/4 or 9 1/2. I would guess. I guess at 9 1/2, but I could well be wrong. So let's try 7 1/4, and it is 7 1/4. 9 1/2. It is not. It is a 7 1/4 radius. So let us check the radius of the fret, and that, my friends, is in beautifully, isn't it? Do we agree that that fret is in? I tapped a little bit over on my edge just to get those edges in, we're not worried about that. So that fret is perfect. Remove the excess glue from the edges, and I'm going to put on a, I'm going to get a radius clamp, a 7 1/4 radius block, just a wooden one will do. Just to hold that in place until the glue dries. Not used these for a long time. Here's a 7 1/4. Seven 1/4 inch radius block. I'm just going to get that on there. I'm going to grab myself a clamp and we're just going to clamp that in and hold it in place. We don't want to be causing any damage to the guitar, so I will take an old business card. I might take an old business acquaintance, but that's another story. I'm going to give myself enough room. We'll take a piece of wood and an old business card, just so we don't damage anything. Let's see where we are with the clamp. Okay, we've got. There you go, and we're just going to clamp that in place, and there you go. How's that? I'm going to leave that for, maybe an hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the other guitar in this section, the one with the new neck, and I'm going to work on that one. So this one's on hold for a moment. Back soon. So while I'm waiting for that fret to dry on the Japanese one, let's look at the other one with the brand new Mexican neck. And what I would imagine is probably a Japanese body, because it has a Japanese tremolo in there, Japanese tremolo block. So no reason not to believe that this is not Japanese. We do have a set of lace sensor pickups in there. I know these are Adam's preferred pickups. He tends to have them in all his Strats from what I can see. So let's talk about this one. A couple of things I didn't notice, which I probably was told about but didn't take in. There is a shim under this neck. In fact, there are 3 shims under this neck, and Stumac shims. And I took the neck off to try and reset it and straighten it up a bit, and it was not having it because of just the way the neck pocket has been cut. So we're going to have to make do. Now the thing is, it's a bit OCD anyway. It's a little bit more across on this side than it is on this side, but it's still going to be absolutely playable. I cannot alter it left or right or any other way. I assume that the owner wants those 3 shims in there because it makes the action pretty much right. So I'm going to leave the shims in there. I put them back in. I've tightened up the neck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up according to how these shims are. I would imagine if I took a shim out, we're going to be too low on the bridge. So I'm going to leave it as it is. I'm going to do a setup as it ought to be done. That nut is sky high. It needs recutting from scratch. Another thing I've not incorporated into my pricing up, but I'm not going to charge for it. I am still a little bit, I would have liked, oh I don't know, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I think we'll get away with our strings are set. If you look there, we're a little bit more over this way on this one than we ought to be, but you know, that's not too bad. So I'm going to set it up accordingly. I didn't price in cutting the nut, so I'm not going to charge for cutting the nut now. I've already priced them up. So I'm going to cut the nut again, free of charge. So he's having quite a bit of free money. I did tell him if he bought all 3 at once, I'd knock him some money off, and he's saved himself a good 40 quid, because I'm not charging for cutting this nut. I'm not charging for fitting the fret on the other one, and I'm not charging for a little bit of a fret level, so I probably saved him 60 quid. I'm charging £50 each for these guitars, just a regular setup price. So, no, not really much point me filming too much on this guitar. I will explain what I have to do. The saddles are all over the place, I need to reset those, and we need to recreate this radius on the saddles here and on the nut. The nut is going to have quite a bit shaving off by the looks of that, but that is not a major problem. The slots actually are not lined up correctly. I've just noticed that they are all over the place. Look there, got the nut slots. That's why it's brought it to me. I'm going to get rid of those nut slots, and I'm going to recarve from scratch. So I'm going to crack on with it. I'm basically going to do the setup on this guitar, not on camera. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to cut the nut, going to set the radius on the saddles. One thing I did notice on this guitar, when you loosen the truss rod off, there is no relief in it at all. So this is not going to get a lot of relief in it regardless, even with string tension on there. Hopefully we will get enough. It's a very solid neck, quite a big baseball bat-ish one I'd call it. Maybe you wouldn't, I don't know. Big solid neck that is. But like I say, that nut, we're going to remove a lot of material off that nut anyway. I'm going to completely reslot that nut from scratch. So I'll crack on with this, and I will come back with this one. You're only really going to see this when it's done, because it's a straightforward setup. I don't have time to film everything on this guitar. End of the day, time is money. Back soon. So a couple of things I'm doing on this guitar. I'm going to have to make an overcompensation on the string height at the 12th fret, because the nut is so high. Let me tell you, let's have a look at this. Okay, above the first fret on the low E string, the 6th string, we are 1.25 millimeters above the fret. Blah 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 blah. That is a millimeter too high. So because we're a millimeter too high here, we can't get the action we need on the 12th fret. Now I would like to set that 1.75, but because we're a millimeter high there, and this is halfway, I'm going to need to, if I'm a millimeter high there, it's going to make half a millimeter difference here. So if I like 1.75 there, I'm going to set it at 2.25 to get it right when the nut slots are cut to the correct depth. That should make complete sense to you, and if it doesn't, let me explain. Scale length is from a nut to the saddles. From a nut to the saddles, and it's 25.5 inch. The 12th fret is exactly halfway. So if I alter one end by 1 millimeter, it's going to alter the middle by half a millimeter, because it's halfway. If I alter the other end by 1 millimeter, it's also going to alter this end by half a millimeter. If I take 1 millimeter off the height of that, it will drop the centre part half a millimeter. So I've set this at 2.25 and this at 2 millimeters. And when I cut the nut slots properly where they need to be, above that first fret, this is going to drop down to exactly the correct position. I hope that makes sense. It should make sense. It's basic mathematics. It's really, really simple. So that is what I am doing. Once that is done, I'm going to carve across the top of that nut, and I'm going to flatten. I'm going to remove all of those grooves that are wrong. Those nut slots are not in the correct place, and I'm going to do it on this bench. And I wouldn't normally do this on this bench. I would get the neck set in a vise and then I'll carve a nut, but I'm going to do it just for the sake of this video, just to show you how I actually space strings on a nut and how I carve the slots. I'm not going to do it to completion. I'm just going to get it started on here, just to show you how that part of the process is done. So you know, it may help someone out there in the future. So stay tuned, back very soon. Okay, so now I'm going to explain how we set where we're going to cut the slots for a new nut. And what I'm first going to do is I'm going to remove these old slots because they're in the wrong place. They're all over the place. The gap between that one and that one and that one and that one, it is just miles apart. It's just completely wrong. So I'm going to remove, and hopefully there's going to be enough material on this nut. And like I say, I wouldn't normally do it on this bench because I've not got the neck clamped, but just for this sake of this video. And so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to file off. I can't do it on this table. It's not going to work. I'm going to have to get it in the vise properly, do it properly. So I'm going to explain how I cut a nut. And those slots are in the wrong place, so I need to get rid of all of those slots. And I'm going to show how I cut new slots in the correct position. and we have what we call a string spacing rule, and you'll see that at one end there's a wide spacing and at the other end there's a fine spacing, and again here a wider spacing and a finer spacing. And what we do is we need to find where we need to cut the first two slots, so the inside, well, both the outside slots, and I would normally go probably 3 or 4 millimeters inside of the neck itself, the width of the neck. So you can see there, look at these two blue marks, that's what I'd normally use for a Stratocaster. There you go, where the blue marks are, and what we are is we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. So what we do is, once we get the two lined up where we need to be, in this case with two blue ones, every one in between, if I get a pointer you're going to understand it better. I've got the outside one and the inside one. I get them where I need them to be, and this is the correct width for a Stratocaster. So what I do is I could go a little bit wider. In fact, I'll take a little wider one, there you go, and now you see I've got one on the outside, one on the inside, and in between you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 space string 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these get narrower as you go towards the end, and they go narrower according to how we need the string spacing to work, because what we're doing is we don't measure from string outside of string to outside of string, we measure from string centre to string centre to string. So these are all string centres, where the centres go, and because we start with a thick string this side and a thin one that side, it just works out. I think it's something like 0.18 of a millimetre difference in each one. I'm not sure, it could be 0.018, I'm not sure, but anyway, we get slightly narrower. You've got that space here, this will be a little bit narrower, a little bit narrower, a little bit narrower, a little bit narrower to make the correct spacing. That's the spacing I'm going to go with. Could go with blue. Blue seems a little bit abrupt to me, I don't want it that abrupt. I'll look at another nut and see where I think we ought to go, but I think I'm going to go there, which will be round about, I imagine, 36 millimetres. And I think that'll be really good. So I'm going to go from there to there. So I'm going to mark each fret according to where they line up on this rule, which will be correct. Like I say, I cannot do it on this table because I'm getting too much movement. To file with one, well, I can file with one hand, but it's not so steady. See, if I've got this held in a vise, I've got two hands to work the file, because this is a bone nut and it's really hard to cut. And I'm thinking I may have to replace this anyway, because I think these slots, some of these slots might be too deep. You see, I can't do it on there, so what's the point of me trying to do that? So I'm going to take 40 minutes off, because there's nothing else I can do on either of these two guitars. I hope it's not too confusing for you, me working on two guitars at the same time, because I'm going to go back to the other one now, and I'm basically going to work on that fret next. So stay tuned. And what a difference it makes when you're using the right tools for the job. And you can see I've filed the grooves out of the nut, which are all in the wrong place. And I'm going to show how I mark the new slots for the new nut. Now the thing is here, the camera is right in my way, so I'm going to do it from the side, and hopefully I'm going to do it okay. Right, the blue ones are a little bit, what about, I will be thinking that is a pretty good, that's pretty good. So I'm going to take a nice sharpened pencil, I'm going to mark off the outside strings and then the 5 in between, using the string spacing rule, and that is where I'm going to be cutting the slots, and that is the centre of each string. And that is where the string slots need to be, much better than they were when the guitar came in. And that looks pretty good. So what I will do then is I'll take a nut slotting file, I'll take the thinnest one, which is a number 10, and I'm just going to cut where these slots are. Make sure I'm on the thinnest one, and I'm just going to cut a little notch to where that needs to be cut on the inside of each one, and then that is where I'm going to make the centre of each slot. And every one of these strings now has a notch cut. And you may not see it on camera, but there's a notch for each string. I can feel each one with thumbnail, and that is the correct spacing. And then I can, when I've got more room, obviously I can go and cut them properly. But I have a notch where each string is going to go, and that is now ready for cutting the slots. Fortunately, we're very fortunate with this, we just have enough material left on the top of the nut to cut the fret slots without having to replace the nut. So that has saved 40 quid. For a nut replacement and a complete recut from a blank, it's going to cost you 45 pounds. I'm dropping off this guitar now and going back onto the Japanese one, where we're going to shove a replaced fret, and we're going to tidy the new fret up, we're going to carve it, we're going to file it down, and we're going to file it, bevel the edges, and we're going to finish that Japanese guitar next. Okay, back to the Japanese Strat. And the fret is remarkably close to the height of the frets already in there, 1.1mm the height. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to dress this fret, and what I need to do is I need to cut off the excess as close as I can to the guitar. I didn't get much closer than that. I actually nipped the tape there, and again here. And I just need to dress the edge of this fret just to get it right up to the guitar. And I'm going to use a very steady hand and a number 4 cut Swiss file, which is my favourite file of all the files I own. Just close the door. And basically I'm going to hand file and hand bevel this fret. And again, I ought to be in a vice, but I think I'll be okay because I can hold the neck. And I'm going to hand bevel the edge, and you see, just beveling the edge there. I'm not gone into the tape yet, so we're not right up to the edge of the guitar. And I'm going to have to do this by eye, and you can see I've just gone into the tape, so we're now right up where we need to be. And all I'm going to do now is just take that edge off. Once I start removing tape, I know I'm close enough. I've not cut into the lacquer, and that is that side done. All I would need to do now is have a safe edge, and on the safe edge, which is not going to cut anything, I'm just going to roll over the edge of that bevel. And there you go, and that's that side done. I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to turn the guitar around 180 degrees, so I'm not going to do that just yet. But what I need to do is just level this fret to the height of these, and I've had a torch behind and a not straight edge, and we are basically the width of the hair too high. You can't see it from where you are. In fact, no, it's about 1/4 millimetre. It's much more than a hair. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the file and I'm going to level this fret. And all I'm using here at the moment is my experience to know where I need to stop. And I'm going to just check it by eye, and that is very, very close. So a tiny bit more just to here. Always cleaning the file. This is one of those jobs that you really got to know what you're doing. Just some light strokes, just following the contour, following the radius. I think that is going to be pretty good. There's still a hair, middle looks good. Again, wiping the file. This is where your experience comes in. Because if we go too far, I've got to replace this fret. And I don't want to be doing, certainly don't want to be doing that. And I think that is going to be just about there. And I can see no gap at all. I will get a light behind there again. I can see nothing there. File. one way to be absolutely certain is to put black marker on this fret, on these three. I've got to be very careful to use the flat side of the file, because one side's flat and the other is this one. And if I can remove from all three frets, which I have done, and that's it, all the pen has gone from all three frets. Those three frets are level with each other, which means all of the frets are level. All I need to do now, that fret is in and finished, all I need to do is bevel this side, which I'm going to do in a minute, and I'm going to recrown all three. I'm going to recrown all three just with the crowning file. We've not removed anything from these two, in effect. We've just removed the pen. And this one is a little bit flatter than those two because I've taken more material off. So I have a little bit more work on this one. That is a fret replaced. I need to polish up these three again. I need to bevel this edge. I'm going to turn the guitar around. I'm going to do that. I'm going to polish up this fret, polish up these two as well, actually. Just need a little bit more there. And that is it. Fret replaced. All I need to do now is I'm going to carve into these nut slots using my welder's files, tiny welding kit file. These, and all we're going to do is just go into the groove, just clean them up slightly. And there you go. If we can get all this out even better, I might actually go with a Stanley blade. I could do that. That could actually be some graphite from a pencil in there. I've got a Stanley blade in there, clean up the slots. Because it could also just be dirt. I don't want to carve into anything. Just want to get rid of all the crap. There you go. So that's it. I'm going to finish off this fret. I'm going to polish these three. Then we're going to get some strings on and we're going to see where we are. Fret has been replaced. And that is the fret finished. Brand new fret replacement in there. Much easier than, well, would have been easy doing this one. The one we replaced is this one with a indentation on the G string there. We'd have had to file everything. That may only be 1/10 of a millimetre, but it means we'd have to take 1/10 of a millimetre off the other 21 frets, which would have been a pain. It would have taken hours and it would have cost a lot more money. So, replaced a fret. I'm not charging for that. There's an hour's work gone into that. Should have been 25 quid by rights, but I'm going to waiver that fee on that one. All I'm going to do is I'm going to get some strings on, and we're going to do the setup. We're going to set the saddles, set the radius. Set up as it ought to be set up. We'll check everything, check the nuts, slots, height above the first fret, check the action at the 12th fret, and we'll check the intonation and everything down at the bridge end. Once we've got some strings on, got them to tension and checked all those things, and we are satisfied that they are okay, this guitar will be finished. I will come back and show you the finished guitar very soon. So with a new fret in place, the setup is just about done on the Japanese Strat, barring the nut slots are not cut right. These are way too high, these three, on the 4th, 5th and 6th string. And I'm going to show where I think we need to be. And I would go on a Strat at this end, 0.3 of a millimetre. That is a millimetre high there. That should be 0.3, just under. Or about 0.3, well, not about from 0.35 to 0.3 on these two. It's about a mil over, it's about a mil over. That's a 0.3 millimetre. We are so high above where that should be. That's the top of a fret to the bottom of a string. It's a millimetre high, 3/4 of a millimetre high, well over half a millimetre high. And on this far side, I'll be looking at 0.2 millimetres on the high E. See if I can find that one. There you go. very high, 0.25 on the second and third, I think. So all of these slots are high. It means when we're playing a bar in an F chord here, we're not playing an F, we're playing an F sharp, because we're having to press so hard on the string. And I could probably prove that to you. In fact, I don't want to, but oh, I do want to, but too long-winded. I guarantee that we're not playing an F, that'll be an F sharp. So I'm going to file the nut slots, and we have a 1046 set of strings on there, and I have a set of 1046 nut slot files. The gubbins here by Hosco, and I'm going to show what I mean. And we have a 46 cut there, which fits the string perfectly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this down to about 0.35, and I'm going to need to remove about 1 millimetre out of this slot, and it's really simple. And I'm just going to carve in, and I'm going to remove material like so. And I'm going to blow it away. And I'm going to replace the string. And we're still way high. So I'm going to do this over all 6 strings. Slightly angling the file back towards a break angle. And we are going to get these strings where they need to be. We need to go quite a bit deeper on that. That's perfect. 0.3, we're just getting that little buzz which we like to hear. It means I should get a buzz and get a sharper note on this one. 0.4. Let's check 0.3 again. I'd like to be around about 0.35, so I just want it slightly buzzing on the 0.3 when I pluck it hard. And we can still go just a little bit more. Let's not get too gung-ho, we don't want to get too far, because if we cut too deep we've got to replace the nut. And I don't want to do that. That's perfect. Now when we finger an F note, we'll play an F note. Beautiful. We could come a tad lower, just slightly sharp of that F, ever so slightly. And I'm not pressing too hard. Perfect. And that's it. We've got that where it needs to be. We've taken a millimetre off that. Let's look at the next one now. This is 0.3 mil. I want to go back 0.35. That is so high. So we'll play an A, open A. It might be a cent or two out on your screen, because I have the guitar laid flat and it's always a little bit sharper when it's laid flat. So let's try an A sharp. And that's closer to a B than an A sharp. Well, it isn't, but it's a B flat and it's up plus 25 cents. Wow. And that's about, I'd go 3/4 of a mil high. So we are going to do the same thing with this string as we just did on the E. We're going to take the right size file, which this one being a 36, and we're going to carve into this one also. We're still well over half a mil high there. Just about there, just a tiny bit more. See, I'm going slightly from side to side just to make that slot just that little bit wider and to keep that nice circular shape at the base of the slot. There you go. A shot could go a tiny bit lower. Always fine adjustments and check. I think that's going to be pretty good. And that's perfect. And there we go. And that is about 0.3, 0.35. You could still go a little bit lower with that. I'm always a little bit careful when it comes to cutting nut slots, because you cut too deep, you've got to replace the nut. And that is it. I'm not going any lower than that. And that's perfect. So I've got 4 more strings to do. I'm going to do that off camera, but that is look much better now. We've dropped that about a millimetre. Look how much further we've got into the nut there. This is way high. The next one, we're going to drop this right down to 0.3. That is at least half a millimetre high. So I'm going to crack on with these, get them all done. Once that's done, the setup will be complete. I may have to loosen the strings and just file over the top of the nut just to make it a little bit more presentable, because okay, these strings are in the slot a little bit. It's not too bad. If I was cutting a nut from scratch, I would shape the top of the nut as well, but I might just leave this because I'm not being paid for it. So back soon. Good morning guys, moving on. I've finished the Japanese guitar and I will show that at the end of the video, and I'm back on the replacement neck guitar, which is this one, and you will see I have a new nut on there. The original nut that I filed down and filed down again, we ended up taking it too low. It was too low to work with, so I had to replace the nut. I removed the old one this morning. It was easier than I expected it to be, because the thing was with the original nut, it had lacquer sprayed over the ends of the nut itself, and I thought if I remove it, I'm going to chip the lacquer around these areas, but I actually didn't, and I got it out quite easily, which is a good thing. So anyway, I've glued in a new Fender Cyclovac nut. Cyclovac is a man-made substance. It's what Fender, official Fender nuts are made of. I'll just, here you go, got another bag of them here. They're just blanks. Fender, and they're blanks, they come like that, and they're pre-radiused, but they are blank, they have no slots in there, so we have to make the slots ourselves. And how we do that is, I've already mentioned this earlier, but what I'm doing is I've decided to go with the original measurement I made for frets for Fender nuts, using the blue marks on there, which is absolutely perfect, and I've penciled in where I need to make the cuts. I'm just checking that they are in line, and they are perfectly in line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thinnest Hosco file, and I'm going to take the number 10 cut, which is this for this string, and I'm just going to put a little notch on each line so I know when I'm going to actually cut the slot. And I might be a little bit in your way here, and I do apologise for that, but can't avoid it at the moment. Something else I've done with this guitar, I have reset the neck, and we've got it straight finally. Anyway, let's just cut in. What I'm going to do is just cut a little notch. Just to give me a marker of where to cut the slot. As mentioned before, where I'm cutting is going to be the centre line of the cut. And there you go, I've just got a little starter on each one. So every cut now is going to be in the right place. Being careful not to cut into the tuners, the machine heads. And there you go, and I've got to check out for alignment, and that looks pretty good. In fact, it looks perfect. So, we've got a starter on each of the slots. I'm just going to come to the other side with the 10 again, and I'm just going to start each one off. I wouldn't normally cut this way, I'm doing this with a camera. I'm just cutting across the nut just to get these slots in the right position. And to start them off, I can then go and get the correct file and start cutting the proper slots. But what I will do first is I'm going to shape the edges of the nut. So I'm going to grab another file. I just need to shape this. And we're going to be removing material from this anyway. These slots are going to be really, really high. And you see, all I'm doing here is just rolling over and just rounding off that knot I look from this angle. And you see now we're starting to make a shape. Making sure we're not going to cut into the neck anywhere else. You see, we're just shaping the side of that knot there. And again, this side. And it only has to be a rough shape at the moment. Got a bit of an overlap on here, and it's actually sticking out a little bit this side anyway, so a bit more work to do on this side. I will continue doing this and I'll start making the slots. It's easy for me to cut the slots with the guitar off out of this vise, so I'm going to move it over to the other table in a minute. Just going to get under here and remove that excess I don't need. Because we do want it symmetrical and we do want it neat. And let me have a look at that where we are. And that looks pretty good. But I do know from experience we have a lot more material on the top of this nut than we actually need. But let's get these, I'm going to move it onto the other table. I'm going to get these grooves or these nut slots started. And we can come back and look at the height later on once we've got the slots cut in the right place, cut to the right depth. So guys, moving on with this guitar. Really good news. You know, I had problems with how the neck was set. Well, look now. Look where the strings are now. Look where the low E is and the high E is. They are where they need to be. They are straight. And I had to do a fair bit of jiggling and a bit of trickery in there to get this neck to sit right, because it wasn't sitting right, and this string was so far over here and this was nearly hanging off the edge. And what I had to do, I had to remove the shims that are in the side there. I had to get one right in this corner to bring this part of the neck over this way. And then what I did once that was done, I got some of my own shimming material, which was a piece of veneer, maple veneer, and I managed to shove it down in the hole and cut round it, so it is all really shimmed in. I don't know what you can see there. But you look now, the neck is, and the string alignment is exactly where they're meant to be. And I've done a lot more, I've done quite a bit more work on this guitar than I was actually commissioned to do. But I'm not going to charge any extra for it. But what I really need to do now is, I've just cut the slots in the new nut. And there's the new nut. And there are the slots. But the slots are very deep in the nut. So I'm going to remove the strings again. and I'm going to file down the top of a nut, because I knew the new nut was a lot higher than it needed to be. Just I like to cut the slots with the strings on, and I think we've done a pretty good job there. I still need to just finely tune the height of some of these strings above the first fret, because they're not exactly where they need to be. I've been in with my Hosco files. These are nut slot files, 75 quid a set. Each one has 2 cuts, and this is a 1046 set. That's a 1026, a 1336, and a 1746. And a 1046 gauge set of strings is 10, 13, 17, 26, 36, 46. So these cut an exact slot. You can also use them on a 942 set. Don't matter about your slot being a little bit wider. But if you happen to need to cut the slots wider, what I tend to do is, when I cut in a slot, I then angle and angle, just widening the slot until it fits the strings I'm putting in. And I can fit any set of strings, even up to a 60 gauge set of strings on this, just using these 3 files. You just have to know what you're doing and be very, very careful. So this one now, this nut now, I have cut at least 2mm in to the nut. I think you can see it there. I hope it's not too close. There you go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the strings. I'm going to reshape the nut at the top, because I want these sitting at the top, at least the thicker wound strings. Don't mind them being inside so much, but I still want to remove a bit from the top. So I'm going to do that final shaping. Really, really pleased I've got this neck set straight. And one thing I must do is, I did promise Adam that I will drill 2 holes for his string trees in the correct position. So I need to get that marked out. I'll copy it off the position on the ones on my Strat. And I'll drill him 2 small holes. I might even put my string trees on it, and he can give me them back later when he fits his own. So anyway, got to crack on. Got to get the nut. Got to get the guitar over on the other bench, where I can get the neck in a vise, and I'm going to shape that nut properly. Then I can come back and can start getting the action right, getting the truss rod set, get the intonation done, and the radius on, well, radius on the nut will be done. We're going to match the radius on the bridge to the actual neck radius. So, I'm going to crack on with that. I'm not going to film anymore, I don't think. I'm just going to crack on, get the work done, and you can come and fetch this one at lunchtime. Well, I can fetch these 2 at lunchtime, because this one and the Japanese one I did earlier. So I can fetch both of these at lunchtime and can talk about his other one. Okay, I did say I wasn't coming back to this guitar until it was finished, but I've changed my mind, because I'm just finishing off carving the nut. And you see I've removed a lot of material, and we've got it down to just about where it needs to be right now. And the file I used for this one, I'm just cleaning it, is one I bought for fret crowning, but I decided not to use it for that. I was going to use it for fret crowning, grind these edges flat, but I decided not to. And I use this nowadays just for shaping a nut, and it's for shaping the round over on the edge like so. And this removes a lot of material, so I love using this file just for removing a lot of material, because it does remove a lot of material. And I'm just finishing up, and I don't need to sand it after this, because it's quite a good file. But there you go, and I'm really, really happy with that nut as it is. Just remove anything off the front and back. And what I tend to do is, when I've done that, I just slightly flare open the grooves at the end with a 46, the widest one, just to completely open that back end up. Not the front end, just the back end. It gives that string a bit of manoeuvrability. And there you go, that is that nut finished. I'm just going to give it a quick brush with a trusty clothes brush, which I use. And I think you'll agree that looks absolutely fantastic. Now, you may see also on the headstock, 2 little dots I put in there, 2 little black dots, and I put a little pinhole in each, and that is where I'm going to drill for string trees. Now, the owner of this guitar told me he's got 2 string trees, so we'll be having one there and one there. So I'm going to drill little holes for those. I do have some string trees that I'm going to put on there, because he left his at home. I said I'll stick mine on, and if he wants to swap them, we'll change them over. And this guitar is complete, and what a difference. Now I've managed to straighten the neck and put a new nut on there, and there's the new nut. and we have a beautiful, nice low action everywhere. I've just done the intonation and the radius on the bridge. So let's recap what we did and what this guitar did. It came in just needing a, I thought just a regular setup, but it didn't. The neck was a mess. The strings, the low E string was over here and the I string was nearly falling off the edge. And I needed to reset the neck, and the problem was I didn't really have any manoeuvre in this area because there were shims underneath and shims at the side. And I removed the side shims and I repositioned them and added an extra shim at the side just to bring the neck, just to bring it over this way a little. And now I think you'll see that the strings are perfectly aligned. So we've got that set, we've got the actual set. So what I did further from that was the nut was a mess. The original nut, the grooves were in the wrong place for slots. I tried repairing it, couldn't repair it. So I replaced the nut. I've not charged for the nut replacement. Normally I would charge 45 quid for a replacement nut from scratch, brand new nut and a recut. It doesn't take 5 minutes to cut a nut, it takes an hour and a half. You know, so I'd charge 45 quid for that normally. I've charged him £20, I've charged for it, because I had to charge for a nut, nut's a tenner. I've charged an extra £10 labour. So I've reset the neck, the frets didn't need levelling, but the guitar has had a complete setup. I've also added 2 string trees, which he said he'd got string trees, we'd forgot to bring them. I said, well, I'll install mine and we can swap them over when you get here. If you want to, or you can keep mine and you pay me for them or give me all string trees. It's had a complete setup. I've set the action above the 12th fret, I've recut the nut, as I've already explained, I've had to charge for that. The nut, by the way, the nut material is a material called Cyclovac, and it's basically a man-made bone. It's really, really good stuff, and it is an official Fender man-made nut, that one. It took quite a while to carve, but it's fun doing it. But we've got the radius on the nut now matches the radius of the neck, and the radius of the bridge, well, it doesn't match the radius of the neck, because on a 7 1/4 radius fingerboard we are still radius the bridge to 9.5 inches. But anyway, the guitar is set up. I've rechecked, I've changed the height of some of the pickups just to make the volume balance better, and now it looks fantastic, even with the shims underneath, which don't look brilliant, but you know, we didn't really have any choice. But the guitar now, it's a big heavy old thing. I don't even know what it is. It's got a Japanese tremolo in there, like I said. But look, it looks absolutely beautiful. The big headstock, the mid to late 70s headstock on there. It's a made in Mexico neck. But doesn't it look good? It looks fantastic. This guitar has got some real weight as well. Fantastic. So that is that one done. It is now, by the way, the truss rod works perfectly. I don't know what the blue tack was in for. I've got rid of that. Don't know what I've done with that. But that's it. Brand new neck on there, and it looks, well, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It feels and plays absolutely brilliant. So I'm sure Adam is going to be pleased with this one. So that's the second of the 2 done, and now I'm going to go back to the first one I did, which was the Japanese one, and a lot more extra work on the Japanese one as well. And also I did a couple of freebies on this. The case, by the way, this latch on the case, the bottom one was snapped and broken. What I've done is I've coiled some copper wire, thick copper wire, about 20 AWG, and threaded it through, and I'll show you that it now holds the clasp. It means it doesn't fall to bits when you open it. And to show you that, I'm just going to lift it up, and this is the clasp we're looking at, and now it works. It's holding and it works fine. So let me get the guitar out. I'll remove the guitar. As always, learning from my mistakes, I always without fail place a guitar on a stand. I don't put it on a chair or anywhere else. And now I can close the case, move the case out of the way, and then we can talk about this guitar and what I did on this. And again, a beautiful Fender Strat. I'm just going to get it on the table. Now I can position the chair and we can crack on. And so this is the first one I completed, and again I charged for a regular setup, which I thought was all it was needed. It wasn't. There happened to be 3 high frets down here, which I filed, reshaped, recrowned and polished. And I got down here and I found there was a ding in one of the frets, so I replaced the fret. So I would normally have charged 15 quid for replacing 1 fret and 25 quid extra for replacing these 3. So I've saved him 40 quid there. This has had a complete setup. Not a difficult setup. I've recut the nut as you do, tightened every screw, nut and bolt that you can see. And I also had to radius the bridge, saddles, because these are brand new saddles, sort of look like a Graphtec saddle, they do, with rollers on, they're brilliant. But again, this has had a complete setup, it now plays absolutely brilliant. He's going to be really pleased. So I've knocked him, I've saved him. 25 on that and 40 on this. 65 quid I've knocked him off. I've not charged for, so I'm sure it's going to be really pleased with that. So that's these two done. I know that this one is a Japanese Fender Strat because it says just behind the neck here. The other one, I don't know what the body is from, but I do know the neck is a Fender Mexican large headstock neck. So that is it. These two are wrapped up and ready to go. I've texted Adam, let him know they're ready. I actually have 3 of his guitars in. I might have mentioned that earlier in the video, of which the other one is having a complete fret level, which I've already done the fret level. I just need to do the recrowning, polishing and get that back together. But these two are finished, and what a fine pair of guitars. This one's beautiful, the Japanese one. But the other one, okay, the sticker's not my cup of tea, but what a great feeling guitar. Nice weight to it, nice big thick neck, which I like. But that is it, these two are wrapped up. So I'll remind you of who I am and where I'm from. My name is Victor Christian, I am Fret Friend. You need any guitar work doing, go and check my website. Best one to check is facebook.com/NG17. People ask where the NG17's from. It's my postcode, Nottingham 17, NG17. So if you want that again, it's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. facebook.com/NG17. I'm Victor Christian, I'm your Fret Friend, and until next time, boys and girls, as always, be good to each other, and I hope to see you soon.